Hey guys, welcome to the review show. My name's Austin. Last of Us Season 2, Episode 5, Feel Her Love, is out on HBO Max for the past week. The reason why I'm doing a late review of this episode is because if you haven't checked out the commentary for Episode 4, Cliff isn't part of the series anymore. And mostly because I was trying to... I went on and watched Episode 4 without him so then we can do the review. But then I ended up wanting to really wait to do episode 5, so then me and him can have the same reaction to the commentary, and I was willing to kind of like wait to do the review for that. But then nothing ended up coming out of it, just my time being wasted. So things kind of getting pushed back and thrown up in the air. So I'm kind of pissed off about that, but I'm going to continue doing the commentary series, even though the whole point was to have someone else's opinion as well and have someone else commentate along with me. So then my review and the commentaries felt different between one another. But unfortunately, that's not going to be the case anymore. It sucks. I'm angry. I'm really pissed of not really that he dropped out of the series. Is more of my time being wasted on waiting to do something that ended up not happening. So then I had to do by myself. That's kind of where I'm upset. And if people don't understand that, well, oh well. It's like whenever I ask someone to join me part of like a TV show series or something like that, or involves like doing a bunch of movies like what I'm doing with Clint, which it's more my side of things with that, is just trying to edit the videos. I expect them to follow through and join me on those. It's more or less more importantly with TV shows. So so when I ask someone to join me for a series when it comes to a TV show, I expect them to be part of that full-on entire season. And if they don't want to come back for the next season, that's totally fine. Whatever, nothing. That's cool. But at least we got the season done. So, and again, spoilers. It has been out for a week, so it shouldn't really be big of a deal. And the commentary for episode 5 will go up Tuesday, along with my episode 6 review. I have things that I do kind of want to upload before that, and I also want to give space between. Since I'm uploading the commentary and this episode review late, I would like to have the space between the reviews. So there's that. But overall, I actually really like this episode. I think this is probably the second best episode. Like this episode does pretty much everything is what I've been asking for. Like Ellie and Dina actually kind of think logically throughout this episode, even though they do. The problem biggest I have with this episode is that they do bash on Ellie for being stupid, and I'm like this is supposed to be our main lead, and we're like, she is being stupid, and I do like kind of people calling her out for it, but they're doing it in a joking way, and it's like, no, she is being stupid. Like, can we actually have a conversation about how stupid she kind of can be? And there's not going to be any character growth from it. But I do overall like the episode about how people are sneaking around. They're thinking about strategies. They're being smart. And Dina's even like, hey, we kind of need to be careful. And like whenever first thing going in, we're not going to start shooting. Like shooting's going to be the last like resort of whenever they start sneaking into this building that the WLF isn't being part around, because most likely there's infected, which turns out to be the case, which I really like. But then they turned out to just start shooting right away anyway, so they end up being stupid in that aspect. But the setup to it I did really like, and the build up, the suspense to all of it was very well done. Everything with the scars in the forest and Jesse coming in and saving Ellie and Dina at the last minute was really good. I thought that was awesome. Whole entire scar stuff I really like, but I wish that we got more of it. Like, they are really glossing over the scars. They're probably saving the scars for season 3, which is the true threat between the WLF. They're not really that much of a threat with Ellie and Dina. They're just kind of just something that are in their way. But I do kind of wish that Ellie and Dina have some form of involvement with the scars in that whole entire arc, but they're just simply just not going to do that. And so it kind of, so as the moments, the scars do kind of feel hollow, even though they are getting a lot of badass moments, like hanging up a dude with a rope and cutting his guts out, like how we saw in the previous episode, where we come in afterwards, where the scars already did it, and there's a bunch of guys hanging and their guts are hanging out. We actually see the process of doing it, and it's pretty fucking gross. And I liked it. Call me insane, I guess, but I actually did like that we saw that. And next, the whole chasing with Nora and Ellie was okay. I thought it was weird that Nora didn't try to fight Ellie. Like she caught Ellie off guard, and Ellie was kind of like taking a moment, like dealing with, I guess, alcohol getting in her eyes or on her face, and Nora just decides to run out of the room instead of attacking Ellie and disarming her. So it's supposed to image the game, because that's what happens in the game, but Ellie wasn't really caught off guard and wasn't really kind of, just, she wasn't kind of there wasn't really anything from stopping Ellie from trying to kill Nora, while here Nora could have had the upper hand at stopping Ellie, especially how big Bella Ramsey is. The actor Nora could easily take on Bella Ramsey, just 100%. So that's kind of like the only big issue I have with that interaction. And this is the episode where we finally actually see Spores come back into the world of The Last of Us, and I thought it was cool to see, but does it really have that much of a factor besides affecting Nora and her livability and showing that Ellie is immune to her? Nope. There isn't really much showing with that aspect at all, and I find this is where I kind of start getting frustrated, is that they are really rushing through a lot of stuff. Like, there is no segment like in the game where Ellie has to fight off goons to get to Nora, while also dealing with Spores as well, and dealing with infected. It's just Nora and Ellie in the basement, and it's just like it's over, and Ellie tortures Nora to get information to figure out where Abby is. But besides that, they really gloss over a lot of stuff, and that's where it kind of comes over to my big issue with the show, is what is the character development? What is the character arc of this season? I'm going to tell you, there isn't going to be any. Because we're going to get half of the story. So because next episode is the flashback episode with Joel, but so far there isn't really much character development or besides with Dina. And we probably, the next episode, or episode 7, we might get a character arc with Dina where she is letting go of this rage and she's realizing how much this path is hurting her. But it's going to feel so 180, because at the beginning of the episode, Dina talks about how she would have chased after this guy if she didn't come back home on time, that killed her mom and brother. And I'm like, and I actually really liked this conversation. It was a really good conversation, and I thought it set it up. The reason why Dina is putting a lot at risk on this journey, even though I find it stupid that she's going on this journey in the first place while being pregnant. It is an interesting conversation, and I think she makes a good point out of it. But later on in the episode, she kind of almost has this 180 of almost agreeing with Jesse of like, it's time to go back to Jackson. And there's probably going to be a conversation with Ellie and Dina saying like, we've tried and we're over our heads. But it seems so quick because the show is rushing through a lot of steps. We skipped over a character's death. The actor that plays Falcon, who's playing, I forget the character's name that he's playing, but his character's supposed to be already dead, according to how the story goes in the game. And now they are doing some stuff differently, and so his death might happen later on, or could happen in season 3. But so far, even though I do like these episodes, the overall season feels hollow. It feels really hollow, even though I am liking certain things about the episodes and I am giving the episodes good grades. When you look at them all together, they don't feel cohesive with one another. And so by the end of the season, it is going to feel very hollow because we're going to be missing part of the story, and mostly because they're also rushing through a lot of stuff. 7 episodes isn't enough to even tell half of the story. You need a little bit more, or you make the episodes a lot longer. That's the biggest issue of for this season right now. So I'm going to give The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 5, a B-. I did like this episode a lot, but I am going to take points away from how everything is feeling a little bit rushed and how there isn't really any much of a character development, more or less with Ellie, and she's our main lead, and it's not really Bella Ramsey's fault. Her acting is okay. I thought her rage moment with Nora was all right. It didn't give the same amount of rage or emotional impact like in the game, but they did fix a little bit of the dialogue with Nora, how Nora does say what Joel did to Ellie. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. That's cool. And I did like the response where Ellie goes like, "Oh, I know, but I don't care." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." Like that actually makes sense, and that's actually how people would probably interact between one another in this situation. So overall, it's a good episode, but it is feeling rushed, and there is hardly any character development with our main lead being Ellie, and I think it will end up hurting the overall season as a whole. So, but yeah, I'm curious to see how episode 6 will be. Episode 6 will probably be the best episode in the whole entire season, especially with Joel being back. I really like this part in the game, so I'm pretty sure they'll execute it very well. Yeah, that's kind of my overall thoughts on this episode. I kind of want to make it quick and straight to the point. But I am sorry for this inconvenience information that I had to give at the beginning of this review. So hopefully you guys understand though on that aspect. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Like always, I'll see you guys in the next review. Bye, guys.